How does the bass drum change when you're playing brushes from a slow tempo, one of those really fast tempos like 320 or whatever you play on the DVD? How does the bass drum change then?
Well, now he just told you feathering.
You feather just
Yeah,
faster?
yeah. You learn how to put that beat there with a slow, more of a feeling than the sound. You want everybody to feel it. You want the full feeling. And then when you're playing faster, you're still playing softer, but you're keeping that going.
You keep it forward of the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the matter here again? Like it's a matter.
You can, but you need to be able.
And some guys play the bass drum 2/4.
I mean, that's 2/4 too.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
I mean, the bass drum technique
But
is
it's,
just 20 to 30.
it's that feeling that you get playing in the 2/4.
Yeah.
What are tips for playing fast patterns? I know in the Joe talks about the fake, which I know one of my early teachers said I could never play that, but it was really amazing to see him play it, where the left hand plays the 2 and the 4, whatever, that really fast tempo you're talking about. And that's an amazing technique. Is that a valid way to play fast? Or
I think
whatever
works according to the situation at hand.
Whatever works for you is if it works for you, then that's the right way.
And if it works for the context.
Yeah, because everybody, here we go again with different techniques.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever's comfortable for you is the correct way to do
Well,
it.
can I get some tips for playing fast with brushes? Because brushes are hard to play anyway, because you don't get so much rebound. You got to work harder.
The first thing you got to do is learn to relax. Because the tighter you get, the less you're gonna play. You know, the idea is to try, and that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
So when you're practicing, you got to practice for relaxation. You know?
Concentration is even more important when it's slower.
Right.
How do you concentrate and still relax?
No, this is the whole thing. You got to be physically relaxed. You know, it's like you have to be mentally focused.
The song, you relax.
Yeah, right.
You got to be
sing the song.
Right. You have to be mentally focused and physically relaxed, because when you're playing fast, like you said, as soon as any tension comes into play, that's going to interfere with you being able to articulate any idea.
So would you stay relaxed, slowly ramp up the metronome while you're trying to play the...
Well, I used to practice doing like a sprinting routine.
I would suggest to do that.
That's one. I used to do like a sprinting routine. I'd play maybe 120 for a while, maybe 8 bars of 120, then I'd double it up.
Playing what pattern?
Just as any kind of pattern, just as something. Or play 160, and then for a while double it up. And go back and forth.
You say dang-a-dang, dang-a-dang. I mean, there could be 10 different ways of just saying dang-a-dang. You know, what angle that you're using to get a certain sound.
Are you going this way? You're coming in from the side?
Right. You know, you got the clockwise, but then there's some. Just talking to Kenny Washington yesterday. He said he never learned to play clockwise. He said he does his counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Here again, but back to that same thing about it being very personal.
Should you practice?
I've seen so many drummers that play good, but they all were so many specs right. Shadow Wilson, right?
Yeah.
All play so.
Burnell Ford.
I noticed with Adam, he talked about it, and I think Billy might have talked about it as well. When you're playing fast, the right hand almost does the same pattern as the ride cymbal.
But it's a different sound. I'm just saying, it depends on who you're playing with. In other words, it's the angle you get. I mean, because they even say Papa Joe Jones would play more towards the end of the brushes. Yeah. You know, as opposed to this.
Can you get more speed at the end of the brushes? Or?
Well,
you will.
You
for that angle?
Yeah, because you don't have as much when you mush down.
Right.
And, you know, then it's going to be harder. So you're up here because you're gonna float on the head a lot easier.
So think of
physics. It's clear too. It's clear.
Think of physics. Faster tempo, less space, less time, less motion. Because you don't have the time.
Smaller space.
Smaller space, smaller motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, everything is brought into a smaller area.
So would you practice the basic right hand pattern solo and try to slowly work up the tempo, or?
Oh no.
Well, but Jones, Elvin, he looked like he was trying to mash this.
Yeah, he really had it.
I don't think
bend up the brush.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, if you're trying to develop your up-tempo playing, I wouldn't separate.
That's right.
I would. It's a package.
Yeah,
you want to keep it
You can't
together.
separate.
And just like anything, it's just the more you do it, the easier it gets. So you wouldn't just jump to try to play 320 beats a minute. You'd have to work your way up there, take your time.
This is going to be educational. It's no ease, no shortcut.
Right.
That's first of all.
Right.
That's what you're saying. You're talking about like trying to find a shortcut.
I'm not about a shortcut, but there are concrete tips. There must be, and that's what I'm asking for.
Playing fast, if you're going to develop playing fast, the thing that worked for me was, because we're talking about relaxation now, remember? I mean, that's paralyzed. So what you do is you start off at a tempo that you can play relaxed. Start and practice that tempo. Then move up just a hair. Don't go jumping fast. Just go up a little hair, because a little faster, each time you get faster, you know, tension is going to set in.
And then you can back off.
So if you just stay at this tempo, then you move to this tempo, stay at that tempo until you can play that tempo relaxed. Then you move to the next tempo.
That's logical, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
just
Step by step.
Right.
and don't move to the next tempo until you can play relaxed at that tempo. You know, and it takes, like you say, it is no shortcut. It takes time.
And what about the left hand? We're talking so much about the
I
right
think
hand.
you got to be.
You tell me.
I think you got to be working this together.
That's another thing about brushes, man, that drummers could use a lot now. Drummers have actually now playing the instrument now is becoming almost ambidextrous. And one thing about brushes, man, you can really get ambidexterity with the brushes. You don't have to be right-handed or left-handed because you're dealing with a sweep thing, you know. So you can get closer to being ambidextrous, you know, by playing. That's one of the values I find in playing the brushes, you know, utilizing the sweep.
I noticed Steve did a thing. I think you did this where you were using more of the rubber part. And maybe even using that to get a bounce off the rubber.
That was one of the techniques I used to play the up tempo.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I held the brush
Way at the back.
all the way to the back, and I just so when I dropped it onto the head and it hit the end of the handle, the rubber part of.
Right.
It gave me a rebound, like a stick kind of rebound.
Yeah. And
then I just learned to control the from dropping it.
Right.
And feeling that rebound.
That would get addictive playing like that, I would think. So you get like a little bit of a stick attack, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another option. It's another.
Choices is what you want to have. You want to have choices. That's the thing. It should be like, if this doesn't work, I can do this. If that doesn't work, I can do this. If the music warrants this kind of sound, I got this choice. Shouldn't be stuck with one.
Again, we're talking about getting a sound too. It's not just the technique. We're talking about a sound.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if he did what he did on a conga drum, that's like how you get that sound on the, you know, slap on it. That's the same. Seems like the same principle you're just saying you did with the brushes. I mean, the brushes to me it's a sound,
right.
A technique to get a sound, not necessarily to be speedy. Because a lot of times, most of the time, people use brushes. They play slow. They play in ballads.
Yeah.
Isn't most of the time we play brushes usually slow and medium? Do we often play brushes fast?
Not now, but a long time ago you did.
But if you work with Dodley Dunning,
but it's such a mysterious
you
art.
have to know how to do
you know,
that's right.
And it's such a mysterious art, and for what we're doing here, I try to get it spelled out as much as possible. It's great to say, you know, that option doesn't work, use this option, but what are the options?
Well, I think
literally, that's what I'm trying to.
That's why we did this thing in the first place.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the original impetus to do this
Right.
DVD, was so people can see how different guys approach the situations.
The same situation.
That's a great adjective to use, the mysterious.
Well, it is mysterious.
That's a great adjective.
Well, the brushes are mysterious.
Yeah.
Mysterioso.
Yeah. Well, the brushes are mysterious. They are.
But the bottom line.
That's why nobody's ever wrote not a comprehensive book about it, because you can't.
Yeah,
because it's so
because each person is individually different.
Everybody, I mean, like you say, you go see Jones, he'd be moving this way, and he'd be putting the mash on it.
Right.
Then you'd hear him play another tempo, and it would almost be like ding, 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 you know. where he put the duh in relation to the ding. Where everybody puts the duh in relation to the ding is different with the cymbal or the brush.
Title, the duh or the ding.
Well, every cat here, you get everybody up here just playing the cymbal at 120.
Right.
We're all going to put the duh and the ding in a different spot.
Da-ding.
Da ding.
Duh.
But that's really, and it's the same with the brushes. Everybody's got a different way of doing it. And by seeing how different guys do it, that's the whole thing. You can figure out, well, this is some of the choices you have.
I see you doing it. I mean, you're three of my favorite brush players in the world. I mean, I go to see you just to see you do that.
You guys be singing, y'all guys are singing all different tunes. Same song, but you sing it differently.
Yeah.
How do you listen to the other musicians differently when you're playing brushes as opposed to sticks, or do you? Does the actual listening to the band change?
And you listen to how the soloist is, what he's doing, and you try to anticipate or support what he's doing on his solo. Basically, you want to get out of his way. You don't want to do something.
That's the same with the
to get
sticks,
it-
right?
Yeah,
Sticks, though.
but that's how you play, period.
Right.
I don't
Trying to
think
stay, you don't want to interrupt
different
what a guy's soloing.
Because I mean, if you to really play this music, I hate to use the word correctly, but one of a better word, you got to listen. Period. No matter whether you're playing with the brushes, sticks, or your dick.
I mean, your ears are your biggest tools, right?
So you got to be a part of the music. That music, this music. I was talking to Billy Taylor a week ago, 2 weeks ago. No, we were talking about the same thing almost. And I even told him about this thing about the drug. He said, well, that's going to be a great video. He said, it's really this. I go around to these schools. He said, what's happening in these jazz schools now? He said, I'm on board about so many boards. They got people teaching, but they never played jazz.
That's right.
They never played it, so it's hard to tell them what to do. Because it's more than just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
There's so many variable things in that 1, 2, 3, 4 in jazz. That, you know, if you don't, somebody don't see it, if they're not around someone that can really look at it and absorb that and feel it, you can't teach them. That's Billy says. I keep telling them, you got to get some people here. He says, still some of them around and get them because these people are not getting. The guy that's teaching it to them, he doesn't even know nothing about it himself.
Right.
It doesn't come
He
out
never
of the
played at a bar in his life. I mean, a bar. Two different things.
Tell me this, is there as far as playing the brushes on the head, is there a standard place on the head where the brushes should lie? Or is it once again totally personal, it doesn't matter where the brushes
It
lie?
depends upon where you feel the sound is coming from.
So
Best for
it
you.
could be totally up on the end, it could be totally in the middle,
In the
whatever
middle,
you're into.
yeah.
Well, I
Use the whole thing.
Yeah, right. That's a good question, but I think that you actually, there's no favorite spot on the head for brushing because you're going to try to use the entire head because the more because you try to get a swish, a good swish, the best. So a long sound, you need to use the whole head.
The slower the tempo, the more the surface.
The shorter sound. But there's really no favorite best spot.
Where he sits down and where his hands lay naturally is going to be different than where mine are. At a fast tempo, less room, less space, smaller surface. Slow tempo, more area, more
You saw that
surface.
video, I bet you everybody was sitting different at the drums,
Yeah,
right?
so-
Well, that's why I say you go.
There is no one way.
There's
But
nobody
I
built the
would
same
say,
way.
getting back to what I mentioned before about getting the wire caught in the thing. So I would suggest that, a kid to play more in the center of the drum.
Right.
Because you get around the edge, the wire will get hung
Right.
right
Caught,
there.
yeah.
And as far as playing, counterclockwise or figure eights,
You gotta
is
figure
there
it out
any way a
yourself.
kid should start out as far as that basic
Yeah,
balance?
sure.
Yeah, I would
Bang,
say
bang,
just
bang.
basically
Circles.
just getting the swish
Straight.
so you can hear the sound of the brush and then because what you hear again, getting back to the personality of the thing, the main thing is you want to hear that swish and then you try to use whatever use your own imagination. how you're gonna cut the switch off. You're gonna make it a short switch, a long switch, or something like that.
Like you need to learn to make your swish and your circle in time. That's the basic
So that's why I said
starting
the first
place.
one is just here to there.
Right.
So
A young person can do that.
let's describe that so he can write that
Thank
down.
you.
Yeah,
So
he
let
needs
me,
that.
so let's
Yeah, he
just
needs
say
that.
you put your right hand on the right side of the drum. You put your left hand
Thank
on
you.
the left side of the
And
drum.
then you go across.
You move your right hand to the left side of the drum, and at the same time, you move your left hand to the right side of the
That's
drum.
right.
And you come back. Let's say you put your left hand over the right hand.
The left
And then you
hand, the
move
left
it back.
Back,
And
yeah.
then you do it again. You know,